serious human rights violations. It's time for a quick break to stay tuned.
Poetry on blank paper, save the school's curriculum for later. Of the marriage of hip-hop and Afro beats, and you can hear...
That is how we get looped into a cycle of insanity, repeating the same thing and expecting a different result. That cycle of failure is unsustainable and it has to end now.
Perfection Train is back.
They take us to the bush and start asking us to call our people to send money.
What can be done as an intervention for them right now to stop abuse of all children?
And now, foreign news. Police in Paris have fired tear gas on protesters as a fourth weekend of anti-government protests turned violent. The clashes came after up to 8,000 demonstrators gathered in the city center. More than 500 people have been taken into custody. Police have told the BBC that 30 people have been injured in the capital, including 3 police officers. The Yellow Vest movement opposed fuel tax raises, but ministers say it has been hijacked by ultra-violent protesters. Well, Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini fouled one of Rome's main squares with tens of thousands of flag-waving supporters on Saturday in a rally that underscored the growing predominance of its rightist League party. Locked in battle with Brussels over the government's big spending budget plans, Salvini took to the stage. He took the cheering crowds he would honor his electoral promises, warning that austerity would only fuel the sort of violence that has rocked neighboring France. Those who sow poverty reap protests, he said. He added he will not be turning back if Italians' right to dignity, pride and security will be called in question, and promised his supporters he would revitalize the European Union, putting blood and strength in the veins of a new European community based on work, respect, and economic and social progress. While Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu briefed Russia President Vladimir Putin on Israel's crackdown along its border with Lebanon on tunnels it said were dug by Hezbollah, the Kremlin said on Saturday. Netanyahu said this week that the tunnels were meant for use by Hezbollah fighters to infiltrate Israel from Lebanon and carry out attacks. The Israeli military sent mechanical diggers, troops and anti-tunneling equipment to the border to shut them down. During their phone call initiated by Netanyahu, the president of Russia stressed the importance of ensuring stability in the region, according to a Kremlin statement. A spokesman for Netanyahu had no immediate comment. Up next is business news.
I feel it, we feel it. Can you feel it? The Niger spirit. Do you feel it? Cause I feel it. We all feel it. The Niger spirit. We don't just feel it, we live it. And if you get it, you got the Niger spirit. This Niger spirit, we breathe it. Best believe it, real as my heartbeat is. The Niger spirit, you can't beat it. So even when I lose, I am not defeated. We all breathe it, we all bleed it, we all live it. The Niger spirit, the Niger spirit. We love it, we live it. Niger all the way.
Niger all the way.
I actually moved back to Nigeria to open a bakery. This was my goal. And everything I did up till this point was in preparation for this. First of all, life was great because I moved in 2015 right before the recession, right? It was awesome. I was like, wow, there's so much money out here, man. The cost of overheads, power generation, water, you have to be your own local government. And there are no tax breaks. Many places where, where they realize the small business environment is difficult would offer some kind of tax breaks and incentives. We don't do that out here. We want you to come back. We want you to, to start businesses here, but we're not going to do anything to help you. All my experiences in the past have led me ultimately to where I am now.
You're welcome to Business News. Minister of State for Petroleum Ibe Kachiko says he expects a final investment decision on its Bonga Southwest offshore oil field by February next year. He said on Friday on the sidelines of an OPEC meeting, the project, one of the country's largest with an expected production of 180,000 barrels per day, will generate profit at below $50 a barrel, according to Royal Dutch Shell, which operates the field. Unquote, negotiations are still going on. The contractual dynamics have still been perfected. Emmanuel Kachiko told reporters Shell wants to do it by the end of the year. Probably it will slip into early next year for FID purposes. Between now and February, we should see a FID on Bonga. Shell's partners in the project are ExxonMobil, Total, Eni, and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company. Kachiko said Nigeria aims to produce 2.2 million barrels next year. Nigeria currently produces around 1.8 million barrels of crude oil, excluding extremely light oil known as condensates. The minister said that with production cuts agreed by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, that number would be around 1.74 million. Well, a section of the Jora-Apapa Bridge, which was closed for repairs and fortification following the partial completion of work on the 2-kilometer stretch of the road leading into Apapa, the port and its environment 5 months ago, is now reopened for vehicular movement. The closed section of the bridge was opened at about 6 p.m. on Friday, when the Federal Controller of Works, Lagos, Mr. Adedamola Kuti, declared it open for public use. The repair of the 325-meter stretch of the bridge was completed in 5 months instead of the 1-year contract period, and that's according to the project contractor Haim Halley. Meanwhile, the federal government also commenced the resurfacing of the third mainland bridge on Friday to ensure hitch-free movement during the festive period, adding that work would begin on the repairs of the piles in January. Still ahead in Plus TV Africa News is our roundup on entertainment and sports. Back in a moment. And in entertainment, South African author Zoleka Mandela opened up about her struggles with depression in a lengthy post on her Instagram page. The star, who recently revealed that she is pregnant with her 5th child, did not hold back when addressing her depression, saying that she has been finding it difficult to shower, be a wife, to be okay, to get out of bed, to leave the house, to stop crying, to be mum, or to breathe. Zoleka admits that being back in therapy after 8 years, though not easy, has taught her to start making more positive changes in her life, one of which is being completely open about the illness. Well, popular Nigerian comedian Helen Paul has recently shared her story of inspiration by saying she was once an unsuccessful model, makeup artist, and there was even a time when she sold sachet water at Moremi Hall at the University of Lagos. According to her, bankers now call her asking how they can help. She further urged fans to keep pushing, focus, and not forget where they are going. Meanwhile, Helen will be joining veteran actor Basi Epeyon on Sunday to host the Best of Nollywood Awards in Oyo State. And that's it on entertainment. The very best in sports right after this.
In sports, Boca Juniors appealed to have arch rival River Plate disqualified from the Copa Libertadores final due to the awful behavior of their clubs has been rejected by the CAS. The Boca Juniors appeal came after fans of River Plate attacked the Boca team bus ahead of the second leg on the 24th of November, resulting in injuries to a handful of its players. Moreover, Boca Juniors' appeal follows that of a similar scenario in 2015, wherein they were the erring side and got ejected from the competition as a measure of punishment. However, the Court of Arbitration for Sports confirmed that it has rejected an urgent appeal by Boca Juniors. The body said, and I quote, "The merits of the appeal will be examined at a later stage by a Court of Arbitration for Sports arbitral panel," end of quote. The second leg of the Copa Libertadores final will go ahead tomorrow in Madrid with the tie in the balance, 2-2. Meanwhile, the European League roundups in the English Premier League, Mohamed Salah scored a hat-trick to steer Liverpool to a comfortable 4-0 win at the Vitality Stadium against Bournemouth. At Old Trafford, United eased past Fulham by 4-1 to ease the pressure off coach Jose Mourinho. In the Spanish La Liga, Atletico Madrid moved a step closer to Barcelona at the top of the standings, courtesy of a 3-0 thumping of Alaves at the Wanda Metropolitan. Antoine Griezmann, Nikola Kalinic, and Rodri with the goals. In the Italian Serie A, Milik's brace moved Napoli to within 8 points of Juventus and 6 points clear in second place, following an emphatic 4-0 win over Frosinone at Naples. Borussia Dortmund extended their lead at the top of the Bundesliga log with 9 points, following a 2-1 win over Schalke 04, while Robert Lewandowski's brace led Bayern Munich to a 3-0 win over Nürnberg to keep them within 9 points of rivals Dortmund. And that's it on Sports Updates. I'm Samson Oloyede.
And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news and updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube page at Plus TV Africa. We're also on channel 308 on Star Times. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us again. I am Ife Arono. Have a pleasant time.
That is how we get looped into a cycle of insanity, repeating the same thing and expecting a different result. That cycle of failure is unsustainable and it has to end now.
Perfection Train is back.
They take us to the bush and start asking us to call our people to send money.
What can be done as an intervention for them right now to stop abuse of all children?
Hello and welcome to Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko, your hostess on the show today. And of course, it's been a while and we're looking at so many things happening around the world of sports. And today's a special one. We'll be talking about something significant and spectacular. We're talking about boat racing. I know you know about water sports ranging from water handball, we've got rafting, we've got fishing, swimming, which is assumed to be the most popular when it comes to water sports. But hey, we've got boat racing, and that's what we're talking about today. I've got special guests in the house who will be telling us all about Lagos All Sail Championship, which will be happening in Lagos right here. And of course, it will be happening sometime in December. I've got Malik Shehu, who seems to be very buff, and I'm looking forward to seeing him. Probably he can carry himself in the swimming pool. I do not know, but yeah, he's on the big side, bigger than me, and I hope he doesn't box me out someday. But Malik, welcome to the show. And I've also got Nkiru Okonkwo on the show today. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Now, Malik, I mean, your weight, are you sure you can swim?
I swim all day.
All day. But I don't think when it comes to swimming, you need so much body mass. It doesn't matter how big you are.
Well, it depends on your skills. You don't...
Depends
it's about getting yourself to float.
Oh, I can't even survive underwater.
You will if you train for it.
And Nkiru looking very pretty this afternoon.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, now let's go straight to what it is. Talking about the Lagos All Sail Championship. I mean, tell us more about this championship and what was the initiative coming about it?
Yeah, my name is Malik Shehu, like you rightly said. Lagos All Sail is birthed out of adventurous mode of life. I love adventure. I do all sort of adventurous things. I can name them. So what I choose to do right now is to extend the adventure to you and other persons, knowing that it will profit you in the long run and profit our society. For instance, here in Lagos, water is given. Sure. We are predominantly water in Lagos, and nobody is using it. You know, our waterways are grossly underutilized. And I'm now saying, let us put ourselves together without blaming who is not doing what. We can start up a culture. Of course, it's a global culture, but now we can get engrafted to the whole idea of water leisure, water sport, and all of the things you can get from the water plus business. That is the allied business of water. So we say we can start off the race by creating different categories of the racers. You have the admiralty category, you have the captain, you have the sailor, then you have the harbor. From the admiralty category, we are expecting heavy cruiser boats.
Wow.
Yes, not less than 500 horsepower.
Wow.
Yes. So with such boat, and within that category, all of these guys are going to race and compete for what we call the King of the Sea. You're going to have a bragging right to be called King of the Sea for the year if you win.
Okay.
Then the Formula One boat or the speed boats can be higher on speed, but they look prettier than that of the King of the Sea, the cruiser boats. So we tag that one or those ones Queen of the Sea. So the winner, hopefully a lady, will be called the Queen of the Sea for the year. Now, talking about the Prince of the Sea, of course, Prince is seen to be one young man who is very agile and, you know, adrenaline rushing everywhere, doing his thing. So now he's on the water with the jet ski doing his business, racing down. Now, if you race in the category of the jet ski, the winner is going to be called the Prince of the Sea for the year 2018.
Wow. Now, looking at the King of the Sea, the Queen of the Sea, and the Prince of the Sea, it doesn't matter if it's male or female.
Hopefully, we're going to get male for the King of the Sea and female for the Queen of the Sea. But in case whatever happened will be left to our discretion, we are working on that seriously.
Okay.
So we have this thing open up to make sure that it's gender balanced. Yes.
Now, looking at the registration, Nkiru, who is eligible to register, and when does the registration close?
Okay. If you love water sports, if you own a boat, if you don't own a boat but you would like to race and we could hire a boat for you and you register, you're eligible to enter into the race.
Wow.
So it's open to anyone who really wants to participate. So we have a couple of boat owners who are already on board and more are coming on. And for those who don't own the boats, we can always work out something for you. We have boats that you can rent and we put together a team that will race on your behalf in your name. And if you win, That's wonderful. So for now, we are open to receive all registrations, and it closes on the 7th of December. To give us enough time to do the proper registrations and accreditations in-house and to get the teams ready for the race.
Now, is there any age barrier, any age restriction to registration?
Oh, definitely not, but you must be at least 18 years.
Okay. And you must know how to ride a boat.
You must know how to ride a boat, and then you could also have a captain who would pilot your boat, and you just be one of the crew members. But we also know that there are a couple of boat owners who can pilot their boats themselves, so we're looking forward to having them all on board.
Okay, and talking about the boats now, how many boats are you expecting for this championship? And like she said, if you don't have a boat, you can actually rent to take part in the championship, but how many are you expecting in total?
Okay. In total, already we have about 30 registered.
Wow.
Yes. So that's just the boats. So we are going to put them in their categories. Yes. They're all not in the same category. They're different categories. So we'll put them where they belong to make sure there are no clashes. Then talking about jet ski, we've got numerous jet skis on board right now. Numerous. We are cutting it out right now with our regulations.
Wow.
Yes. So when we talk about getting a boat for you, that is to say that in case you are interested, but unfortunately you don't have a boat, we can hire a boat for you, brand it for you. Branding is very important in this race. Sure. So when we brand it for you, we have a team. Your team is dressed in your name. So they are going to race in your name. If they win in your name, and they've won for you. Wow. So you become the king of the sea, queen of the sea, prince of the sea. Well, prince of the sea, you have to get yourself running on the jet ski, because nobody's going to do that for you. Unless you pay the person doing it for you, which I don't see coming. So he can get your jet ski, he race it for you, it's your team. Yeah. For instance, Malik's team. Malik is written, Malik 01 or number 19 is on the boat, it's on the jet ski. Now you are the guru, you know, the veteran who knows how to do this. Yeah. So I'm getting you to run my race for me. So if you win in my name. So if the person equally is strong enough to do that for himself, good. But one thing is it, we want to bring this culture. We want to start enjoying ourselves with what we have. Yeah. We don't have to travel too far to catch fun on the water.
Catch fun. Now, talking about traveling too far, I know most of the sports fans we have out there, they either love to watch football, the EPL and all that, or they are basketball lovers. How would you convince these fans? I know it's happening on the weekend, and I'm sure there'll be football matches on that day, but how would you convince these fans to come around? This is the first of its kind in Lagos. How do you intend to convince fans to be a part of this?
Okay. First of all, we are introducing everybody to something new.
Sure.
It is new in the sense that it's not been harnessed. Individuals have boats, but they don't get to compete amongst themselves. You have corporate companies with boats, they just go on their businesses. They don't have anything to do together. So what we are now saying is we want to integrate them, form a community of people who are willing to play together. Now we make it like a competition, a game, a championship. You now race to become a winner. So now we want to make it as attractive as possible, and that's why we are bringing different side attractions to this. We're bringing musicians, we're bringing DJ, we're bringing nice seafood for you, we're bringing artists that are going to give you some nice frames from our gallery, all about nautical life. Wow. You can see a man paddling, you can see a lady trying to do one thing or the other on the water. So you are open to buy these souvenirs on that very day from the art world or other memorabilia that we have for people. So we are gingered, we are prepared to make it as attractive as possible for our people, knowing that if you are here, you are part of history.
Sure.
We are about to make that history. You are part of us, and we will make it together. You stand to lose nothing. You don't lose anything. So if you want good music, it's here. You want the boat racing, and don't forget, aside boat race, we have some sophisticated boats that we're bringing on board. That is for the boat show. For instance, an owner of Eliminator 1,200 horsepower, who may not be ready to put it to show or to race because it's quite expensive. But this is something very beautiful and exotic. So we are getting this kind of category for the boat show. So the boat show writes in when we give you the integrity of the boat that is about to come in, when they speed in, do all sort of stunt, go to dock. You will remember what boat is that. So we'll do from 1 to 10 or to 20, and we'll leave the judgment to the crowd. Amongst these boats that have presented to you, which one do you think should be the winner? Eliminator 1, Reed 2, Scarab 3. So you will decide.
Wow.
Because they're going to be all engaging.
Wow. A lot of excitement to look forward to in December, and I'm sure, it's the Christmas season, so a lot of fun activities for us to look forward to. But let's talk about the registration process now. Do you need to pay to register, or is it free for all registration?
It's absolutely free for all registrations. Just come on board. You can go to our website at lagossail.org. You can register there, and then we'll contact you and give you more details. And also, there's a category we haven't really elaborated on, and that's the harbor category. Because we're looking at beyond the elitist part of this sporting event, which is bringing on the boats, because trust me, to own a boat in Nigeria doesn't come cheap. Anywhere in the world, it's expensive. So you have to belong to a certain class to own a boat.
Sure.
But we're looking at also there are other people who love water. Their boats are not expensive, really. They actually own canoes and kayaks.
So, can they participate too?
Yes, they're already in the game. We have them. We have a category for them called the harbor category. So we've looked at areas like Makoko, where you have all those young men who love the water.
Sure.
They go out in the water every day to fish and to just have a good time.
Badagry.
Well, in Badagry, they are all there. So Ikorodu. So we've brought them all in.
Wow.
They're going to compete in that category, and they're going to represent the 36 states
plus
of Nigeria, plus the Federal Capital Territory.
Wow.
So it's all encompassing. And we're hoping that from those categories, eventually in the next Olympics, we're going to pick out champions who will represent Nigeria.
Wow.
In the canoeing and kayaking.
The 2020 Olympics. Looking forward to that one. And I'm sure these guys, we've also talked about water sports. And during the Olympics, Nigeria doesn't get to pick the gold medals, even when it comes to swimming and boat racing. And I'm hoping this will come with a difference for the Nigerian sportsmen.
That's our plan. We hope to achieve that this time around.
Very true. Now, when is this event taking place and where?
It's starting on the 13th of December, and it's going to end on the 15th of December. It's starting with an accreditation ceremony and press briefing. And we're going to bring in some professionals in the marine world who are going to be talking about different topics, talking about pollution on the waterways, talking about safety on the water, and so many other things. So, in fact, we invite the general public to come in and hear, because if you look at the culture here in Nigeria, and Lagos in particular, we have so much of water and we do very little with it. And you find that a lot of people are afraid of the water.
Like me.
You have no reason.
There was a time I was afraid of the water because, lots of stories and stuff that you hear. But then I started sailing and going out there, and it's so much fun. There's so much you can do out there. Beyond the commerce, which is the part that we've explored to a certain extent, the leisure is highly underexplored. And we're looking to push that this time around. We want people to come, to make friends with the water, so to say. To come, sail on the boats, ride on the jet skis, to just come and have a good time, and to make the water a more friendly place to hang out. Because you have boats that you can actually hire to, cruise along the water lines and have lunch with your friends. Just have a good time on a lovely Saturday afternoon.
Away from the traffic.
The stress. Traffic, the Lagos traffic. Well, I'm looking forward to that day. I know I'm always scared of water, but I just hope that I'll be giving it a trial and see if I can actually sail on one of those super boats out there. But let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll still continue with the show. It's still Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. Yeah, welcome back to the show. It's still Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa, and I'm Udoka Njoku. I'm still here with the guys that are talking about Lagos All Sail. Malik Shehu and Nkiri Okonkwo are still here in the studio. So we're talking about the events that will be going down in December. When is the precise? Okay, let me ask you. We know about the boats and everything. We talk about Formula One, and we've seen some crazy accidents there where some of these Formula One drivers get to be in a coma for years and all that. What is the safety measure that has been put to ensure the safety of these boat riders and competitors?
Okay. First of all, we use the word Formula One sailors not because it's supposed to be some Formula One. They are speedboats.
Exactly.
Because of the strength of the speed, the fastness, that's why we're using the word Formula One. Otherwise, it's supposed to be for the road show, the speed cars.
Sure.
Now, But to make it easy or easier for us, people to understand, that's why we use the word Formula One boats. They are extreme speed boats. Now, what we do there is, there are regulations. We know that from one point to another, if the channel is open freely for everybody, they can outstretch themselves and anything can happen. So we create some hurdles along the line.
Okay.
No matter how well you want to speed or whatever the capacity of your boat, at some point you must stop.
Exactly.
We know that the point where your boat want to pick up high speed is the point we're asking you to stop and pick up your flag.
Wow. So
now that's lap 1. If you don't pick up the flag, you are disqualified already. So those measures we put on ground to check the excessiveness of the speed. It is possible for them to get speedy unnecessarily. So we put these things to check them. At the same time, we have the monitoring body with us.
I was going to ask.
Yes, we have NIMASA working on the safety and all the things. Then we have LASWA. Then we have NIWA. These guys are on board to ensure safety. So they are patrolling. They are right on the water. In fact, when you sail for the first lap, you will pick up a mini flag from LASWA. You move again, you pick up another one from NIWA. You move to the last lap, you pick from NIMASA. Then you can turn. So these things we're trying to do to cut the risk. It cannot be completely no risk, but BRS minimum, the lowest level of risk we can get. So because we don't want casualty. So we are preventing them from opening up the fire of the engine to a reasonable extent.
Don't go all out.
Don't go all out. If you do try that, anything can go wrong.
Exactly.
So we don't want that.
You talk about picking up flags and all that. What is the distance to be traveled, and where is the takeoff point?
All right. We are traveling from Biggs Garden.
Okay.
We take off from Biggs Garden down to...
That's in Lekki Phase 1?
Lekki Phase 1. Yeah. Down to Bonny Camp. From Bonny Camp, that's at the front of Radisson Blu, you connect the Eco Atlantic.
Wow.
Now, at the front of the Radisson Blu, you will see a LASWA boat. Because there's a changeover from the ocean to the lagoon under the bridge there, so you can't just pull through, it can throw you off.
Sure.
So we create a hurdle right there. You must pick a flag from LASWA, from under the bridge, then you start going up. So there's no way you can open from 0 to 100 from here. So you want to navigate through the wavy water, then fly down. So when you're not getting to the ocean, you will see another boat from NIWA standing. So you turn around the boat and pick up another flag. That's lap 2. Lap 3 is along Kata Bridge. You pick up the flag for the lap 3 from NIMASA. You move to the last point. So moving to the last point, you are approaching Third Mainland Bridge right now, which is open water.
Wow.
Although at this point, we have already checked the water, have inspected. So we have our live buoys here, the green, and there, the red, telling you do not race outside this channel for safety reason. One, for accident.
Exactly.
To avoid injury on personal life.
Sure.
No, or not to wreck your boat. So we have instructed you, and if you find you racing outside this channel, you are automatically disqualified.
Wow. That's a big one. And having events like this in Kiru, I know they always have challenges. So I'm sure you must have faced some challenges setting this up. Can you share some of them? Or all of them?
Where do I start? Well, number one, this is a novel idea. So it's been a bit of a challenge getting people to buy into it. Yeah. Despite the fact that we have quite a number of water sports lovers, and the generality of the people are yet to really key into it. So getting the information out there and getting people to connect with it has been a bit of a challenge, but we are pushing through it. And then at the beginning, we had challenges getting the required approvals from Lagos State government, the Ministry of Tourism. We finally got through that. We got through to LASWA, Lagos State Waterways Authority. We got through to Nigerian Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA. And you know that for us to do anything on the waterways, you must have all these approvals in place. Yeah. So it was quite an experience getting through all of that, getting the approvals, but finally we have them and we are happy. Now the other key challenge that we experienced, the ultimate challenge is sponsorship.
Yeah, exactly.
Water sports does not come cheap in any way. So it's been, it's not been easy talking to people to come buy into this idea, sponsor it, come and be a partner. But we have a couple of positive responses coming in. We have African Circle that is fully on board with us. Zenith Bank has been so gracious to us and some other organizations, and we're still talking to a whole lot more. And we believe that eventually we will get the financial support that we need, and we'll get the right partnerships that we need. And after this first edition, we believe that the subsequent ones, because we intend to make this an annual event, subsequently we'll have better sponsorship, and it will be a lot easier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, doing the first event is actually a tough one, and I'm sure by the next edition it should be way better and easier than the first one. Now let's talk about, we've mentioned money. So let's talk about prize money. What are the prizes there to be won?
Okay. So for the King of the Sea category, we have the cash prize of #500,000 Naira.
Wow.
And then you have the bragging rights for 1 year. You can make all the noise that you want.
Now I'm interested.
You are the king of the sea for 1 year.
I'm interested.
I'll give you a waiver. From NIWA, LASWA, and all of that.
Yes.
Oh, wow. For annual subscription, we're going to give you a waiver from them for you being the king of the sea for the year. So the normal tuition, your fee you pay to run your boat for a year, you being the king of the sea right now for this year, you get a waiver.
Yes.
And not to forget the final category of the race, the jetty owners along the seashore. The waterfront. I don't want to name them right now. There are many. There is a race for them. And the winner has the right for the year. A lot of waivers for the winner.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also a trophy comes with it.
Yes.
And for the Queen of the Sea, you have a trophy as well. You have the bragging rights for 1 year. Because remember, that you've won this year does not mean that you just go home and you relax. You're going to come back next year and
defend your title.
And then there's a cash prize of 400,000 Naira.
Okay.
And then for the Prince of the Sea, there's a trophy as well. There's a bragging rights. And then there's 300,000 Naira to be won.
Wow. So you have to defend your title. If you get to win it this year, it's not, you don't just win it for keeps. You come in next year to defend that title that you have won. Now, looking at all these categories, the King of the Sea, the Queen of the Sea, and of course, the Prince of the Sea, will there be, probably when they get to win these categories, are they the ones to represent Nigeria? Or is there where you put them into the Olympic team for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics?
I'll explain that. Now, what happens here? The King of the Sea is local. The Queen of the Sea is local. The Prince of the Sea is local. But the harbor category, where you have the kayak people, these endurance people, who were using their physical body and strength to do all of the sailing, the rowing, they are international. In the sense that we have hopes of getting competitors for the Olympic amongst them, that's from them. Now, anyone who is currently a champion here, we are hoping to negotiate their way forward. That when the world is having different, we have different kind of boat shows, boat races across the world, we will now push Nigerian forth. He or she being a local champion for us, we have a right to push them to compete internationally with other bodies across the world. That's for the lifestyle. But talking about the kayak, the rowing, and the canoeing people, those ones, we are looking for not less than 6 Olympians from them.
Wow.
And we have spoken to the Federation, and they're with us. So we hope that at the end of the day, we'll be able to pick 2 or 3 that will compete at the level of Olympics.
Now, looking at this, all of these events, now, is it under, or are they aware, the Nigerian, the Federation for the Rowing, Canoeing, and Sailing Federation?
Yeah, they're on board with us.
Okay, so they are in full support.
They're with us all the way.
Actually, the chairman of the Nigerian Rowing and Canoeing Association is our grand patron.
Wow.
So they're fully on board with us.
All right, and your social media handles in case anyone wants to follow you and, of course, to register.
Okay, on Instagram is at Lagos All Sail, same as Facebook and Twitter.
Someone looking at Nkiru would really fall for her beauty and quickly run down to the Instagram handle and follow, because I'm really interested, because I know I'll see you on that day.
I
I'm
hope
interested
that
in
works.
registering.
So if
it is working. I'm interested.
If that is a magic one, then please run down to the website and the social media handles and register to be a part of this program.
So on Instagram, Twitter, and of course Facebook, Lagos All Sail, and the website is www.lagosallsail.org.
Yes, and also one more thing. You have to register to attend. Is really important.
Okay.
Because we want to be able to manage the crowd we're going to have that day. It's free, but you need to register to attend. So on our website, you'll find a form where you can register to attend.
And submit. We'll get back to you. We'll bring you your ticket for you.
Okay, and say, for example, guys who have cameras who want to cover, how do they get to follow the race? Is there a special boat?
Yeah, they have special boats that are going to be, you know, like surveillance boats going up and down. And we are also capturing everybody from the air with drones and helicopter. So,
all prepared for?
We're ready.
Alrighty. Well, that's much you can take. You've heard it all. Lagos All Sail Championship coming down in December. So make sure you run down to the website, www.lagosallsail.org, register and click submit, and they will surely get back to you on how to go about the event. And it's a free-for-all event. It's free. So go there, and if you know you can become the king of the sea, the queen of the sea, the prince of the sea, run down to the website and, of course, register. I will register. I want to be a part of that. I will not be a pilot on the boat now. I won't be. I will even be a captain on the boat. I will just do my bit from outside, and I'll be shouting, go, 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 until everything comes to an end. Thank you guys for coming to the show today.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much.
Well, my name is Udoka Njoku, and that's the package for today. See you again next time.
That is how we get looped into a cycle of insanity, repeating the same thing and expecting a different result. That cycle of failure is unsustainable, and it has to end now.
Perfection Train is back.
They take us to the bush and start asking us to call our people to send money.
What can be done as an intervention for them right now to stop abuse of all children?
Hello and many thanks for joining us on News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. Here are the stories making the headlines. I am Ife Arono. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, the All Progressives Congress, APC, and the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party engaged each other via a debate on how to tackle national security. The debate session, organized by the Center for Democracy and Development, is the first among several upcoming debates aimed at unveiling the manifestos of political parties for Nigerians.
The debate series is the first among several expected to tax political parties on their plans for Nigerians. 4 political parties were expected to be in attendance. This was not to be as only 3 showed up.
This platform creates an opportunity for political party to instructively speak to what is contained in their respective manifestos, and not only that, and how practically do they actually want to get some of those things done.
The debates are themed around six issues. Today we had a very robust conversation on security, featuring 4 political parties. 3 of them were present, and that was an opportunity for the parties to really put forward not just their thinking in terms of plans and policies, but their understanding of what is security problems Nigeria is facing.
The Center for Democracy says the debate will be of immense benefit to Nigerians, enabling them to make the right decisions during the upcoming general elections.
This series will benefit Nigerians in terms of ensuring that the political parties are now preoccupied. For those who have not returned to their manifestos, in a long time, they have to return back there, so that as they are speaking to the electorate, it's not just about hurling insults at an opponent. It's about focusing, training their focus on the key issues that matter the most to Nigerians.
Most political campaigns have actually been characterized with a lot of attacks on political parties, personalities, but not, directly speaking to their policy ideas. How do they want to respond to a lot of socioeconomic and political ideas?
The representatives of the different political parties present had an opportunity to express their party ideas on national security.
We should not look at security only in terms of terrorism. There's also insecurity locally and internally by way of things like kidnapping, armed robberies, and all sorts of crimes going on in our society. The bottom line is that Nigerian society is broken. The economy is broken. And this is not the result of the recent governance only, but a perennial issue over several decades.
The issue of security goes beyond the insurgency in the Northeast. It involves armed robbery, kidnapping, and several other, even the Niger Delta issue. We have to also take that into cognizance, that the fact that today, Northeast is a lot better than what it was 3.5 years ago. We are not there yet. Like I said, you don't play politics with security.
The idea of national security goes beyond the discussions about hiring new police people. It goes beyond the discussion about Boko Haram. What we first have to understand is that the first gamut of the national security arrangement we have in Nigeria goes along 4 dimensions I talk about.
Amadine Uyi, Plus TV Africa.
Governor of Imo State, Rochas Okorocha, insists that as far as he is concerned, the All Progressives Congress, APC, does not have a governorship candidate in the state ahead of next year's general election. He reiterated this yesterday in a statement by the Imo Commissioner of Information, Patrick Chidiebere, in Owerri, the state capital. In his words, the governor is in APC and he had an agreement with AA to support President Muhammadu Buhari for 2019. The governor will be in APC. He will support Buhari. APC in Imo State does not have a candidate as far as we are concerned. Well, the Nigeria Immigration Service said on Saturday that it had retrieved more than 700 voter cards from non-Nigerians living in the country. Comptroller General of NIS, Mr. Mohammed Babandede, disclosed this at the 2018 NIS Award presentation in Abuja. According to the Comptroller, the service is fully involved in the election process to ensure that no foreigner voted during the 2019 general elections. He said, and I quote, "This year, we have retrieved over 700 voter cards from non-Nigerians. We will be there during elections to ensure that non-Nigerians don't participate." While the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Akwa Ibom State has organized an electoral assessment test for electoral officers and assistant electoral officers across the 31 local government areas of the state. The state resident electoral commissioner, Mike Igini, who supervised the test at the Federal Secretariat Conference Hall in Uyo, said that the training is meant to equip the electoral officers with the required skills and exposure to guarantee optimum performance during the elections. The commissioner said the officers will in turn train other ad hoc staff of the commission to ensure strict adherence to the guidelines of the commission, as well as a hate-free conduct of the 2019 election. While the chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Humanitarian Affairs, Sani Mohammed, has said the claim by the Buhari administration that normalcy has been restored to the northeast of the country is a lie. The lawmaker, a member of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC, said the region has failed, and he feared such failure could affect other parts of the country. Mr. Mohammed spoke while briefing his colleagues on his experience after visiting some states in the region. He said, and I quote, "We just returned from an oversight function from Borno and Yobe states, and I can say that the description that the northern part of Nigeria is under siege by Honorable Chika is an understatement," the lawmaker said in a rare, frank comment about the situation in the region still facing a deadly Boko Haram crisis. Well, members of the Islamic Movement of Nigeria took to the streets of Abuja to mark the 40th day remembrance of the killing of its members by security operatives. The group, which commenced its solidarity work from the National Mosque to the popular Zone 4 junction within the city center, called on Nigerians to question the motive behind the killing of its members. A member of the group, Abdullahi Mohammed, spoke to newsmen present, saying the group will not end its protest within the federal capital until its controversial leader, Ibrahim El-Zakzaki, is released unconditionally from government custody.
The reason for today is for two purposes. One is for seeking for the freedom of the Sheikh. Secondly, when somebody died in Islam, after 40 days, there will be serious prayer for the person and remembrance. So today is 40 days after the president of Nigeria ordered the army, Guard Brigade, to kill followers of Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaki during their Arba'in symbolic trek here in Abuja. The presidency should come out and tell the masses, why did you kill innocent people? It is Guard Brigade, and it is clear to everybody that it was Guard Brigade that comes out on a daily basis and kill Nigerians in Abuja.
Well, as Nigeria joined the rest of the world in marking the World Anti-Corruption Day, several civil society organizations have scored the federal government's anti-corruption war low. Speaking to newsmen in Abuja, they say not much progress have been made in the last 3.5 years, and several commitments made by the current administration to fight graft have been left unfulfilled.
Nigerian public officials have been very quick to make numerous international commitments to tackle corruption and lack of transparency. 14 commitments were made as part of the Open Government Partnership effort. Majority of the 14 commitments made by government remain unfulfilled. 20 commitments were also made by the Buhari administration in the London 2016 during the anti-corruption conference. 1.5 years down the line, not a single commitment has been completed. Beneficial ownership register is nowhere near completion, and crucial asset recovery legislation, such as the Process of Crime Bill, has been hopelessly stalled in the National Assembly.
Huge deposits of oil and gas continue being a curse for Nigeria instead of a blessing. Monumental corruption and kleptocratic governance have brought Nigeria in 2018 to the nation with the highest number of people living under extreme poverty level in the world. Despite some acceleration in the rate of repatriation and confiscation of proceeds of corruption, we still do not see the investigations, prosecution, and conviction of the highest levels of our political class.
Nigeria still loses an enormous amount of resources to illicit financial outflows. It is estimated that around $35 billion are annually lost to illicit financial flows. These indirect, dodgy movement of monies earned in Nigeria and leaving the country through the back door poses great challenge to our development and economy.
There should be a ban on security votes, total ban. Cases in courts that deal with politically exposed persons should be expedited, and cases should not be thrown out on technicalities that hinder the judiciary from carrying out their judicial responsibilities.
And away from that, oil marketers have denied reaching an agreement with the federal government on the 800 billion naira subsidy arrears, saying their ultimatum to cease depot operations on Monday remained unchanged. The Federal Ministry of Finance on Thursday, the 6th of December, said that the federal government and petroleum marketers had agreed on the settlement of outstanding claims. The Executive Secretary, Depot and Petroleum Product Marketers Association of Nigeria, DAPMAN, Olufemi Adewale, said in a statement in Lagos that offers made by the government failed to meet the legitimate demands of the association. The statement read, and I quote, "We refer to the press release from the Federal Ministry of Finance following the meeting with marketers under the aegis of DAPMAN, MOMAN, and IPMAN, and most respectfully refute its contents with the following clarifications. DAPMAN reiterates that there was no agreement reached because offers by government failed to meet the legitimate demands of the association, and we did not sign the purported document. Hence, our ultimatum stands." The news continues after the short break. Glad to have you back, and now to news from across Africa. The Interior Ministry said the Egyptian police killed 2 gunmen who carried out last month's attack on a bus carrying Christians in Minya Governorate to the south of Cairo. Police, helped by the military, found the gunmen in Asit Governorate, which lies to the south of Minya. They were in possession of 3 automatic rifles, 1 shotgun, and an unspecified amount of ammunition. Security forces also found one of the vehicles used in the November 2nd attack, which killed at least 7 Christians who were returning from baptizing a child at a Coptic monastery in central Egypt. The mobile phone of one of the victims of the attack, Kamal Youssef Shehata, was also found. While the government of South Sudan has denied a report by Amnesty International detailing execution of prisoners on death row. The Amnesty International report released on Friday accused the government of carrying out executions of 7 prisoners, including a child, in 2018. Amnesty International said it also fears for the lives of another 135 people on death row. However, Attorney Wek Attorney, the presidential press secretary, denied the report, saying South Sudan has not executed any prisoners since independence. He said, and I quote, "Since 2011, South Sudan has not executed any sentenced prisoners simply because we are signatory to the charters that prohibit death penalty. Even if the execution was to be done at the level of those who had committed murder, a child cannot be executed in South Sudan. Even the culture of South Sudan cannot accept it," end of quote. Mr. Attorney added that President Salva Kiir did not sign any order to allow the law enforcement agency to execute any sentenced prisoner. While the European Union is set next week to prolong sanctions against Congolese President Joseph Kabila's chosen successor, just 2 weeks before a historic election in the resource-rich Central African country, EU officials confirmed on Friday that travel bans and asset freezes will be renewed against DRC's ruling party candidate Emmanuel Ramazani Shadri and 15 other people. The move is expected to occur without debate at a meeting of EU foreign ministers on Monday. He was sanctioned by the EU last year for obstructing DRC's electoral process and a crackdown against protesters angry over the long-delayed vote. The EU says he was involved in planning, directing, or committing acts that constitute serious human rights violations. It's time for a quick break. To stay tuned for more news when we return.
I am gap-toothed black girl, back corner of class, scribbling left-handed poetry on blank paper. Save the school's curriculum for later. I am overflowing tales by moonlight, that informal education. Trickling off the tip of my grandmother's tongue, you will find my mother's tongue here. a fast and fluent Yoruba, crisscrossing English, hidden messages in prose and proverbs call it Yorubanglish. And I am the miracle of melody, nestled deep in the groove of a rich high life rhythm, a child of the marriage of hip hop and Afro beats, and you can hear our voices pulsing beneath the skin of a talking drum, commanding hips to move without caution. And I am sky high, gele, bold and beautiful. We redefine fashion, wear our stories around our necks and from our ears so we never forget the voices of our ancestors. This heritage, this heartbeat, this is who I am. Heritage Bank, your timeless wealth partner.
That is how we get looped into a cycle of insanity, repeating the same thing and expecting a different result. That cycle of failure is unsustainable and it has to end now.
Faction train is back.
They take us to the bush and start asking us to call our people to send money.
What can be done as an intervention for them right now to stop abuse of all children?
And now, foreign news. Police in Paris have fired tear gas on protesters as a fourth weekend of anti-government protests turned violent. The clashes came after up to 8,000 demonstrators gathered in the city center. More than 500 people have been taken into custody. Police have told the BBC that 30 people have been injured in the capital, including 3 police officers. The Yellow Vest movement opposed fuel tax raises, but ministers say it has been hijacked by ultra-violent protesters. Well, Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini fouled one of Rome's main squares with tens of thousands of flag-waving supporters on Saturday in a rally that underscored the growing predominance of its rightist League party. Locked in battle with Brussels over the government's big spending budget plans, Salvini took to the stage. He took the cheering crowds he would honor his electoral promises, warning that austerity would only fuel the sort of violence that has rocked neighboring France. Those who sow poverty reap protests, he said. He added he will not be turning back if Italians' right to dignity, pride and security will be called in question, and promised his supporters he would revitalize the European Union, putting blood and strength in the veins of a new European community based on work, respect, and economic and social progress. While Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu briefed Russia President Vladimir Putin on Israel's crackdown along its border with Lebanon on tunnels it said were dug by Hezbollah, the Kremlin said on Saturday. Netanyahu said this week that the tunnels were meant for use by Hezbollah fighters to infiltrate Israel from Lebanon and carry out attacks. The Israeli military sent mechanical diggers, troops and anti-tunneling equipment to the border to shut them down. During their phone call initiated by Netanyahu, the president of Russia stressed the importance of ensuring stability in the region, according to a Kremlin statement. A spokesman for Netanyahu had no immediate comment. Up next is business news.
I feel it, we feel it. Can you feel it? The Niger spirit. Do you feel it? Cause I feel it. We all feel it. The Niger spirit. We don't just feel it, we live it. And if you get it, you got the Niger spirit. This Niger spirit, we breathe it. Best believe it, real as my heartbeat is. The Niger spirit, you can't beat it. So even when I lose, I am not defeated. We all breathe it, we all bleed it, we all live it. The Niger spirit, the Niger spirit. We love it, we live it. Niger all the way.
Niger all the way.
I actually moved back to Nigeria to open a bakery. This was my goal, and everything I did up till this point was in preparation for this. First of all, life was great because I moved in 2015 right before the recession, right? It was awesome. I was like, wow, there's so much money out here, man. The cost of overheads, power generation, water, you have to be your own local government. And there are no tax breaks. Many places where, where they realize the small business environment is difficult would offer some kind of tax breaks and incentives. We don't do that out here. We want you to come back. We want you to, to start businesses here, but we're not going to do anything to help you. All my experiences in the past have led me ultimately to where I am now.
You're welcome to Business News. Minister of State for Petroleum Ibe Kachikwu says he expects a final investment decision on its Bonga Southwest offshore oil field by February next year. He said on Friday on the sidelines of an OPEC meeting, the project, one of the country's largest with an expected production of 180,000 barrels per day, will generate profit at below $50 a barrel, according to Royal Dutch Shell, which operates the field. Unquote, negotiations are still going on. The contractual dynamics have still been perfected. Emmanuel Kachikwu told reporters Shell wants to do it by the end of the year. Probably it will slip into early next year for FID purposes. Between now and February, we should see a FID on Bonga. Shell's partners in the project are ExxonMobil, Total, Eni, and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company. Kachikwu said Nigeria aims to produce 2.2 million barrels next year. Nigeria currently produces around 1.8 million barrels of crude oil, excluding extremely light oil known as condensates. The minister said that with production cuts agreed by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, that number would be around 1.74 million. Well, a section of the Ijora-Apapa Bridge, which was closed for repairs and fortification following the partial completion of work on the 2-kilometer stretch of the road leading into Apapa, the port and its environment 5 months ago, is now reopened for vehicular movement. The closed section of the bridge was opened at about 6 p.m. on Friday, when the Federal Controller of Works, Lagos, Mr. Adedamola Kuti, declared it open for public use. The repair of the 325-meter stretch of the bridge was completed in 5 months instead of the 1-year contract period, and that's according to the project contractor Haim Halley. Meanwhile, the federal government also commenced the resurfacing of the third mainland bridge on Friday to ensure hitch-free movement during the festive period, adding that work would begin on the repairs of the piles in January. Still ahead in Plus TV Africa News is our roundup on entertainment and sports. Back in a moment. And in entertainment, South African author Zoleka Mandela opened up about her struggles with depression in a lengthy post on her Instagram page. The star, who recently revealed that she is pregnant with her 5th child, did not hold back when addressing her depression, saying that she has been finding it difficult to shower, be a wife, to be okay, to get out of bed, to leave the house, to stop crying, to be mum, or to breathe. Zoleka admits that being back in therapy after 8 years, though not easy, has taught her to start making more positive changes in her life, one of which is being completely open about the illness. Well, popular Nigerian comedian Helen Paul has recently shared her story of inspiration by saying she was once an unsuccessful model, makeup artist, and there was even a time when she sold sachet water at Moremi Hall at the University of Lagos. According to her, bankers now call her asking how they can help. She further urged fans to keep pushing, focus, and not forget where they are going. Meanwhile, Helen will be joining veteran actor Basi Ekpeyon on Sunday to host the Best of Nollywood Awards in Oyo State. And that's it on entertainment. The very best in sports right after this.
In sports, Boca Juniors appeal to have arch rival River Plate disqualified from the Copa Libertadores final due to the awful behavior of their clubs has been rejected by the CAS. The Boca Juniors appeal came after fans of River Plate attacked the Boca team bus ahead of the second leg on the 24th of November, resulting in injuries to a handful of its players. Moreover, Boca Juniors' appeal follows that of a similar scenario in 2015, wherein they were the erring side and got ejected from the competition as a measure of punishment. However, the Court of Arbitration for Sports confirmed that it has rejected an urgent appeal by Boca Juniors. The body said, and I quote, "The merits of the appeal will be examined at a later stage by a Court of Arbitration for Sports arbitral panel," end of quote. The second leg of the Copa Libertadores final will go ahead tomorrow in Madrid with a tie in the balance, 2-2. Meanwhile, the European League roundups in the English Premier League, Mohamed Salah scored a hat-trick to steer Liverpool to a comfortable 4-0 win at the Vitality Stadium against Bournemouth. At Old Trafford, United eased past Fulham by 4-1 to ease the pressure of coach Jose Mourinho. In the Spanish La Liga, Atletico Madrid moved a step closer to Barcelona at the top of the standings, courtesy of a 3-0 thumping of Alaves at the Wanda Metropolitan. Antoine Griezmann, Nikola Kalinic, and Rodri with the goals. In the Italian Serie A, Milik's brace moved Napoli to within 8 points of Juventus and 6 points clear in second place, following an emphatic 4-0 win over Frosinone at Naples. Borussia Dortmund extended their lead at the top of the Bundesliga log with 9 points following a 2-1 win over Schalke 04, while Robert Lewandowski's brace led Bayern Munich to a 3-0 win over Nuremberg to keep them within 9 points of rivals Dortmund. And that's it on Sports Updates. I'm Samson Oloyede.
And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news and updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube page at Plus TV Africa. We're also on channel 308 on Star Times. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us again. I am Ife Arono. Have a pleasant time.
That is how we get looped into a cycle of insanity, repeating the same thing and expecting a different result. That cycle of failure is unsustainable and it has to end now.
Perfection Train is back.
They take us to the bush and start asking us to call our people to send money.
What can be done as an intervention for them right now to stop abuse of all children?
Industrialization, beyond all doubt, is a strong driving force when it comes to economic growth and development of any country or nation. Right behind me is Coleman Wires and Cables, which was incorporated in 1975. It has grown beyond all odds and is now ranked the largest cable producers in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. I met with George Onofowoko, who now runs the business with his brother. Thank you for joining us in the studio this morning. Coleman Wires and Cable has grown to be the largest cable manufacturing industry in the whole of West Africa, which, I mean, is a very big deal, right? And then I also know that you have a reliable supply chain management system. This did not happen overnight. How was Coleman able to get to this point?
For us, Coleman was able to develop over time by putting certain right foundations from day one. For every business, you need to strategize, and you need to have your medium and long-term strategy. And for us, we had a more direct long-term strategy that we needed a lot of discipline, which is to ask ourselves, where do we want to be as a business in 10 years' time? Where do we see is our weak points? Where do we see our supply chain getting to be in 10 years' time? And that means certain amount of things have to be put in place. You have to put the right structures in place in terms of personnel. You have to put the right business framing in place in terms of manufacturing and capacity and capabilities over time. Then you have to look at the long term, because most of these things can never be achieved in one day. So when you're looking at what you're trying to do, you have to look at your development plans over a time period and how you can place them. I think we got it right more than others. And we focused, I think one of the driving force was what I used to always say to people is that, look, as a manufacturer in Nigeria, nothing is impossible. It's just the ability for us to study this situation and look at our weak points, especially infrastructure, because there's nobody that doesn't have infrastructure deficiency in the manufacturing sector. And once you look at that, you should be able to work around it, because other businesses have survived and done well in the country. So the risks are high, but the benefits might also be as high. So for us, looking at all those holistically has made us to become where we are, surpassing even the expectations of our competitors and even surpassing the expectations of the country. And that's been a good thing.
All right, and then you just mentioned infrastructure. I was going to talk about it. I know how important infrastructure is when it comes to industrialization development in a country as a whole. I know that Nigeria is not where it's supposed to be in terms of infrastructure, right? But then manufacturing industries like yours require such help. How has Coleman been able to thrive despite infrastructural deficiencies in the country?
I think for Coleman, using Coleman as a case study, we looked at the infrastructure deficiency as being there. So there's nothing running away from it. Now, we're in a business that is power dependent. Almost 30% of your overheads to 40% of your overheads goes into power. Now, we're also one of the few industries where certain things we don't expect to be using generators to do. But it's only in Nigeria, and I've been to a lot of parts of the world where you actually see us using those heavy-duty power utilization machinery actually using generators. So it makes the cost exceptionally high, capital cost exceptionally high. Now, the only way we've been able to go around it is to actually increase capacity to such volumes that you need to dwarf the actual power utilization or power deficiencies that you have. And we've managed to do that by going for technology rather than cost savings on machinery labor intensive. Now, if you go for a labor intensive machinery, it means your cost comes down. Yes, but then your overhead cost is high on the benchmark that is taking labor and is taking more time to do it. But invariably, going down on the labor, increasing capital cost, and then going into technology means you spend high at the beginning, but it goes lower over time.
According to Forbes, less than 1/3 of family businesses transition to its second generation, and then about 50% of these businesses do not survive to the third generation. But Coleman has survived to the second. I mean, this is a second generation company. And now talking holistically with other businesses, what would you say Coleman has done right such that the business has survived to this point?
I think for any succession plan to work, the founder must get the the ideology right, must have the ideal concept of succession planning. I think that's the basic foundation. We're lucky in terms of the chairman had the philosophy of succession planning predating even when he started the business. Now, but he said what he saw was that businesses like the Hiltons, the Guinnesses, outlive the owners.
True.
The shareholders might be minor or might still be large, but the family still had a foothold in the business. And that gave them survival beyond the building. Now, he looked at it in Nigeria at that time, people making buildings or building properties as a legacy also had its downturn, as in you leave the world. At the end of the day, people sell the buildings and that's it. It's not guaranteed that it keeps those family earning. So he then focused his own legacy on building as many businesses as possible, which meant really not building as many properties as possible, but then looking at the legacies of those businesses in order for his children to actually create succession planning through them. And then he started the process of succession planning, which will be to encourage and tell his children about the business. So the fundamental importance is really how the founders take succession planning. So before they started creating, they start off as entrepreneurs without structure, they start creating structure, and as they create the structure, they bring in the children, if they have, or the successors into the business to understand the concept of the business.
I know of some family businesses that had their children get involved in the business, but once the founders or the founder died, that was the end of the business.
You have to have the right philosophy, I'll say, from the beginning. Not all your children, it's not a guarantee that even any of your children would want to be part of your business. But the way you sell it is like you're marketing yourself. I think the man marketed himself very well. You're selling the concept. You're selling continuity. You're selling things about your business. Because invariably, you selling this idea or bringing them in would either mold them into deciding what type of courses they would do. Sincerely, I decided my course during the time when I was working with him, I want to do accounting or accounting and finance, or I want to be a chartered accountant. Because I got interested in some aspect of accounting, because I used to come in most of the time and do work with the accounting department. And I enjoyed it that much. So I wanted to be an accountant. And so it also molds lives, because in my case, then I was experiencing what most likely I'm going to end up doing in life. Although I didn't end up, I became an accountant, but then didn't end up running an accounting firm, be where I am today. But the major focus is that you had the basic principle early. And he used to tell us then in those days, you need to learn to be a follower before you become a leader. So you won't come to his company and he'll give you a manager role. You'll come to his company and you'll be a basic junior officer. And those managers will send you on errands as the same way they'll send any other. It doesn't matter.
So it sort of gives you a particular mindset.
It does, because you don't have this eye up head of your head that you're the boss's son or daughter, irrespective. You're like another employee, and you have a line manager who tells you what to do. And really, you must do what he says or she says.
How do you implement structure in a family-run business?
You have to decide that early. I think in every family business, structure is the hardest thing for them to quickly do, because structure also involves people that are not their family members. So, which means you have to trust some other people. And for me, I think I haven't spent 8.5 years of my life out of Nigeria, and I haven't spent a lot of it in Nigeria understanding how to work or do business on my own. I think it was easy coming back to Nigeria and looking at it. I said, look,